People are going to say to many of us, well, see, now all of you are upset only because the media giants are messing with your football. Yeah, that's probably true. Green Bay and Philadelphia played the Monday night game this coming week. And the prediction is, and I suspect if you want to be cynical, which I think you should be, that this is the time for the consumers to make so much noise. Maybe the media giants, maybe the media giants move in some capacity. That the prediction is Monday is going to be the tipping point. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll explain. I think there's a deeper and bigger conversation to be had. I don't mean for it to sound too heavy about economics, but I do think there's a lot to this that, we got to find a solution here. So we got fed up, as you know, as consumers, when a lot of what we're all, as a consumer now, anyone that consumes any amount of media, particularly football, which is the ultimate content king in a streaming world, the NFL is crushing it. And it should be pointed out, and I don't blame you for being skeptical and cynical about this either, that the NFL now is also in business to a tune of, I think, 10 or 15% of Disney. But we were fed up as consumers when this exact same thing happened in the cable world. So absolutely, we should be upset now that the streaming world is looking and costing like the cable world. It wasn't all that long ago when we were complaining, for good reason. Man, the costs keep going up, the options keep going down, and the costs keep going up. It's amazing how that works, but streaming is going to change all that. Now it's a competitive marketplace. It's more of a free-for-all, so it's going to drive the price down. Well, until it didn't, right? So the newest streaming fight between the giants of the media landscape is more than an inconvenience. Seriously, I think this is far more than an inconvenience. I mean, to many of us who want and need to watch the NFL, it's more than that. It's a complete hassle, but it's more than an inconvenience. With the fight between Disney and Alphabet, Google, is not only about the NFL and college football being ripped away. It is. Or bribed away, or bribed to stay, or whatever you want to say about this. The broader implication, and I do think there's a broader implication to this. I do think there's a legitimate, heavy discussion that needs to happen about consumers in this country and choice in this country, and exactly how do you make it better? But the broader implication is what's right and what's fair for you. Sounds pretty righteous. As a consumer, us, be skeptical when the price goes up. Start asking questions always. Well, exactly why is the price going up? As a consumer, be furious when competition decreases. Be furious. Again, you're going to say, well, Jeff, what do I do about that? I'm just telling you for now, be furious, be pissed. Both of those things are happening right now. Both of those things are happening. And, if you want to hate on corporate America, this is your best chance, man. This is a time to say, you see those two giants, look what the giants do. They gobble up everything in sight and they reduce the competition. And guess what? My price goes up. That's right. I think you're right. Here's a righteous part. I would drop the term Milton Friedman, but I think 0.0001% know who I'm talking about. It's a famous economist. And I'm not going to sound like Milton Friedman here, but free enterprise is never perfect. I mean, there's always going to be, you're not going to be able to micromanage it and sanitize free enterprise or capitalism, if you want to use that term instead. It's not going to be perfect. No system is. But free enterprise in the name of increased competition for your dollar is better than any other economic system. Okay? Again, I think we always work in terms of, and I think this is a fault of the spoken word space a lot of time, absolutes, black and white, what's right, what's wrong. There is no perfect answer when it comes to free enterprise, but it's better than the options. Okay, so you're never going to get it exactly right. We're never going to have total free competition, but we need to work towards that, and we need to complain about it, and we deserve that. Okay, this sounds heavy, but the ESPN versus YouTube fight is kind of our capitalist system at its best And it's kind of our capitalist system at its worst. The consumers thought the cable model, us, was unfair and expensive, or the cable model became unfair and expensive. It just became consolidated, and that's not good for you. We thought the streaming world was going to give us more access. We thought the streaming world would give us access to more content, and in the process, the streaming world would create more content. The competition would drive the price down. That's the way everything is supposed to work. I don't care what the product or service is. The competition is supposed to drive that price down for you, and you should want that. You should want a free-for-all. It turns out, feel free to argue. I mean, we can argue about this. That's cool. We're all consumers in this. But it turns out just the opposite is now happening, and we have no idea what to make of it or how to fix it exactly right now. Like anyone that says, man, I feel like I'm at the mercy of these two media giants, you have every right to say that. We're overwhelmed and we can't even figure out what we're paying for, right? It's got not only more confusing, but it's gotten more expensive in the process. So I don't know how someone doesn't know what's going on, but here's a quick primer, and I think people listening might be able to do this more justice than I can. ESPN, ABC, FX, and other Disney-owned networks. And by the way, at any moment, if it sounds like I've been shocked or tased, or all of a sudden Brandon starts screaming and the entire show is cut off, I'm just letting you know now, because it's probably not a great idea to go where I'm going with an ESPN Disney sign above my head. Okay? He is grounded, so he's not going to be shocked as badly as me. But the story goes that the Disney-owned networks have gone dark on the platform after Google and Disney failed to renew their carriage deal. In other words, hey, you got to pay us to carry our content. And the answer back is up yours. It's too expensive. The blackout affects millions of subscribers. Disney owns some of the most in-demand networks in live television. ESPN, ABC, FX, and National Geographic. I don't know about you. I have no idea if that's in demand or not. Their removal means no Monday Night Football, no college games, and no access to a large chunk of the fall broadcast schedule. For the sake of this conversation, I don't really know enough about the rest of the fall broadcast special and could give a flip. But we do know this. You want to watch football. And everybody involved in this knows exactly what's going on. It's about football. It's about your access. So an argument, a bigger picture issue is, I think this is the first of a few giant fights between these two. And I don't think we should like where it's going. This is really as much about money and content as it is the future of live TV streaming in that era. Like, this is the fight for new media now, and it's not going well for us. In fact, it feels and looks a lot like the old days, which was not okay. Okay, so the cynical view, I assume if you share this, right? So you can't get, if you're a YouTube subscriber, YouTube for many years was believed to be the best spot to go for live sports. It was the best spot to go for NFL and college football. Well, Disney, of course, is a gobbled up ESPN, which is a content creator and rights holder. And so the two of them have this fight going on. And the cynical view is the two of them are gobbling up all they can. Disney owns a big chunk of the most prized content in media, football. Google is saying, hey, NFL, we paid you billions, but it looks and feels like Disney wants more money because it can, and Disney wants you to go to their recently acquired platforms. That's what bothers me maybe the most. I mean, a price fight is one thing. But gobbling up the barriers to entry, gobbling up the platforms themselves, that is a big problem. That is a far bigger issue. I know we only think about Monday Night Football, but I think there's something bigger going on here. To be fair, free enterprise speech here, our system wants, I'm a fan of this, for Disney and Alphabet to do well. That's not evil. That's healthy. But what's not healthy And this is where I'm saying there's a big difference between people complaining about the government regulating content, of which you should be terrified of. I don't care what the MAGA say. That's not okay. There's a big difference between content regulation and barriers to entry. I think. I'm pretty sure that's the way it's supposed to be, too, and that's okay. But what's not healthy now is we're getting fewer on-ramps, right? That's the best way to describe this. I mean, we can complain about the NFL or not the NFL, but what really should be bothering us is all of a sudden we take a look and the price keeps going up. And you notice the price is going up. It's not going down. The price of any of the streaming world is not going down. It's going up, which is precisely opposite of what's supposed to happen to us. And now all of a sudden we look up and think, wait a minute here. You're gobbling up more platforms. You're gobbling up the barriers to entry. You're owning the real estate and the content. And then our price is going up. So gobbling up competitors creates less competition, and then the price goes up. And is that not where we are? I mean, we used to believe that we would save money by cable cutting, right? It was the term of the day. Thank God we're getting rid of that. Man, whew, prices are ridiculous. And then we jumped in. I'm trying to remember now. I mean, none of us can even remember, right? It's such a overwhelming exercise. But when we all first jumped into streaming services for football or this, whatever it is, we're at what a price point about what? I'm throwing this out there. $40 maybe, 45. If you want to watch football now and you want to have access now, Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong here, the price point. You're easily looking at $90 plus.
For YouTube TV, correct.
Yeah.
$90.
And so
after tax.
What do you think's going to happen now with Disney and Fubo and Hulu and whatever else? You think the price is going to go down? So we're right back where we started as consumers, and it sucks and it's not okay. And I'm going to make a case that there probably should be some government intervention. I think there's a better way to go about this. That may be of a bigger hassle for us, but it's not right. I mean, just fundamentally not right. So we'd have more competition and easier access to content. Technology did its part, I mean, it did. The chaos did its part. But we're here again. We're spending more again. In fact, I'm sure it happens. I couldn't find it, but I'm sure somebody's done this. If you go back and go, let's see, what are we going to say, 5 years maybe? Brandon, what's our cable world? 5 years ago?
Maybe a little longer,
okay.
But yeah, around there.
5 or 10. And you said, okay, I was spending X amount 5 or 10 years ago and all my cable services. Are you not back there already? I bet we're at the exact same spot, if not more. It's not an issue of, and I'm a firm believer of this, value is what somebody's willing to pay. But when the competition for me decreases, then I can't trust the system. If I want to spend $200 on the NFL, okay. I need competition for my $200 because I got to believe that competition is going to ultimately drive that price down, and we're not getting it. And I think the two of them know it. And I don't know if the two of them care. The problem is I don't know why no one else seems to care. So they're under just a few umbrellas now. Therein lies the giant problem. That's true of any industry. It's never healthy. Never healthy. When you're gobbling up the competition to call them different names, but they're under the same umbrella, and the price, like I said, if the price goes up, be skeptical. We need to be skeptical. We need more options, not fewer. Period. Is this a government solution? Yeah, partly. I think it might be. Remember I said there's a big difference between content, your political heroes, your government getting involved in your content, and it is government for the sake of busting things up for competition. I think there's a giant difference. I don't think you can conflict the two. I don't think that's fair or right at all. It's supposed to be about the consumer. It's supposed to want to break things up for the consumer. And we're getting just the opposite of that, are we not? Okay? Government should have nothing to do with your content. but it should be constantly looking out for consumers, and that means not allowing consolidation of power and reduced competition. I know it sounds righteous and holier than thou and utopian, but man, I mean, it's hitting us right in the face. I mean, we're living it out now. If you're a football fan, you're really living it out. So what's the solution? I thought about this, and what's crazy, years ago, I interviewed John McCain. Right, I believe probably about the time he was running for president. And John McCain was a part of some Senate committee that was regularly, was involved in media in some capacity. And in the course of our conversation, I found him to bury, so 10 years ago, politicians needed to go on talk shows that disagreed with them because they didn't have that many options. Nowadays, sadly for you, it's just a bunch of echo chamber ass kissing. No one is going on a show where they even think someone might disagree with them. They don't do it because they don't have to. So it's just an echo chamber of ass kissing. So John McCain comes on the show. He knows nothing about it that I can tell. He has no idea. Somebody said, hey, talk to this guy. And we ended up going down the path of arguing about cable and regulation and all that stuff. And he finally said, let me tell you what the solution is. And I know you may disagree, and I was fighting back and pushing back on a government solution because I said, man, you have no right to be here. And I thought he made a great point. He wasn't looking to regulate content. He said, these options should be available for you a la carte. In other words, you want to buy that show, you want to buy the Bachelor series, you want to buy the NFL series, you want to buy the SEC series. He said the only way that this is fair to consumers is and I know it sounds overwhelming, and I know it feels like a shopping spree, but it's kind of true. That you shouldn't be able to create these giant barriers to entry to get these shows. I mean, that was the whole point of streaming in the beginning, right? You get what you want. And he said then, when he wanted to desperately break up the cable business, he said, you should be able to get these shows a la carte. And we should mandate that they're delivered and they're offered to you a la carte. And I think we're kind of there again. I mean, because some of us, that's all we would buy would be sports shows. But maybe not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you buy. The problem is you got two media giants that bought the real estate. Now you can't get there without the price going up. So there, is that the solution? Yeah, you got a better one? I mean, I know you're going to say, well, just don't buy it. Okay, true to a point, but that's not fair. You bought it. Like Brandon here wanted to watch his football, and they said no, but still pay us our $89.95 or whatever, or more than that. The NFL did the same thing about the NFL ticket. And a lot of people have, and I'm sure there's some lobbyists got involved. A lot of people said, wait a minute, why should I just, if I want to watch the Dallas game or the NFC or whatever, I should be able to buy that. That's exactly right. Yes. That's what should happen. And it should happen now. And somebody should be saying it now. And I know a lot of us would say, get the government out of my business. No, I want the government to make my business fair. Not the content, the barriers to entry. Does that mean on Monday it's going to be solved? No. Actually, Monday is like going to be the ultimate leverage day because it's such a huge NFL game. And so I suspect Alphabet, Google, YouTube is throwing a few dollars back at you. Here's $10 off or whatever. Do we blame them for wanting to gobble up all they can? No, not really. Their obligation is to their shareholders. But an obligation to us is, as consumers, that we need to break down barriers to entry. It's only fair. Even if it's only football or National Geographic or The Bachelor or whatever, it doesn't matter. The principles should matter here. Hey, here's a recommendation backed up by my own experience, a great experience. And that is, I've been a client of DJC Law, and I can tell you this. You're going to get three things with DJC Law. You'll notice it right away. The difference is you will get peace of mind. They will take care of every single detail perfectly, and you will get the result you deserve. If you're injured by the negligence of someone else, fighting with an insurance company for any reason, Trust me when I tell you, you will need DJC Law. Dan Christensen and his team of attorneys have a remarkable track record. I've known Dan a long time. He's a military vet. He's board certified in civil trial law, and I've been a client. So you can trust them. You will get the result you deserve. Check out teamjustice.com, and you'll see thousands of 5-star reviews. The bottom line is, if you're in an accident, you need DJC Law. Contact them right away. 512-888-9999.